To be successful, you don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. You don't need to grind until your eyes bleed. That's the kind of stuff that you see on social media, but that's all for show. If you're ambitious, this video will change the way that you think about success forever. Look, I'm not lazy. As a matter of fact, I used to believe that if I just outworked everyone, if I stayed up later, if I woke up earlier, if I pushed harder, that I would win. And I thought success was about pure grind, So that's what I did. I said yes to everything. I pulled all-nighters all the time. I went months without a break, and all it really got me was burned out, frustrated, sleep deprived. I was working harder than ever and I still felt stuck. That's when I started to realize that maybe it's not about how hard you work. Maybe it's about what you work on. Because hard work caps out, but leverage scales. And that changed everything for me. Let me be real with you here for a second. I know what hard work looks like. I'm an immigrant. I moved to the US from Brazil, and I grew up in a community of immigrants, all hustling just to get by. I've done landscaping, I've been a busboy, a bar back, I worked at Domino's Pizza, I worked at Subway, I even cleaned dishes at a restaurant where I was barely old enough to be in the kitchen, So I'm not sitting here trying to avoid hard work. I've done it. I've felt what it's like to come home exhausted, hands dirty, back sore, and still made barely enough money to get by. So the problem isn't effort, right? Because I was putting all of my effort into those jobs. The problem is when all that effort leads nowhere, when it just leads to nothing. And that's the part that no one tells you. Success isn't just about how hard you work, it's about what you work on. Some of the hardest working people I know, they're broke. I've seen guys doing construction in the middle of winter, working 12-hour days, and still living paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, I've seen guys make 6 figures from a laptop with way less physical effort, right? Why? Because they chose the better vehicle. They chose the better direction. It's like trying to dig a hole with your hands versus using a shovel. You can be the most determined guy in the world, scratching at the dirt. Very athletic guy, just trying to get everything out. But, someone with the right tool, a shovel, is gonna finish the job faster. With less effort, better results. That's why choosing the right vehicle in life is so life-changing. It's not that one guy worked harder, he just worked smarter. And at some point, hard work without strategy, it just becomes wasted energy. When I started uploading videos on YouTube, I didn't have some master plan. I was just a kid. I was passionate about technology and teaching. I've always liked to teach. It's the older brother in me, just trying to figure things out, trying to help out. But once I realized that I could turn an audience into a business, that I could grow a brand and launch my own products with Forte, that was the shift for me. That's when I stopped trading my time for money and started building long-term leverage. And one thing that sped up that process was learning how to delegate once I could afford to hire more team members. For example, about a year ago, I hired an executive assistant. Her name is May. She's amazing. She handles my calendar. So I'm always organized, And she has full access to my emails. So she sorts through my inbox. She replies to my emails. It makes my job a lot easier. I was spending so much time just sifting through emails. Now I trained her to do it, and I get to reallocate that time towards building Forte or shooting more content, which no one else can do it for me. I have to shoot my own videos, but I don't have to answer my own emails. So it made sense for me to hire May to do it. I travel a lot. I'm actually going to France later today for the 24-hour Le Mans race, which I'm really excited for. And while I'm on the go, I know she's got me covered. She's on Slack. She's answering messages for me. She's rescheduling my calls, my meetings. If I'm busy, she's always on top of it. So getting an executive assistant was one of the best decisions I've ever made because it freed up my time to work on bigger projects or to be more social if I want to take a few days off so I'm not burned out. So I'm not worried that an urgent email is gonna come in and I'm gonna miss it. I can rely on her. I hired May through Athena, which is a platform made to simplify delegation. They train executive assistants, then they match them with the right candidate. So they match me with May, and it's been amazing to have her help me over this past year. Because delegation is a hack. It's about working smarter, not harder. I don't want my life to be about meetings and emails, but I wanna keep growing my business. So Athena helped me do that. And May books my dinner reservations, she schedules my doctor appointments, she's trained in AI tools, so she does a lot of research for my business. Think of it this way, how much more work could you do if there were 2 of you instead of 1? That's the whole point of delegation. It's cloning parts of yourself to be able to get more done. And Athena makes it easy because the assistants they're placing are already trained. So they come in with ideas and suggestions to instantly help you. And I've had such a good experience with May that I wanted to share Athena with you guys. It's the first link in the description below. And I want to pause here and say this. If you're still watching this video, you're already ahead of most people. That alone gives you an advantage because the truth is most people have no idea that these opportunities exist. You know, I come from a family in a community where people work brutal jobs just because that's what they were told. It was the only way to get by, to become successful. Get a job, show up early, stay late, hope for a raise. That's the system. And if no one shows you there's another way, how are you supposed to know better? How are you supposed to win? I had to break out of that cycle. And, you know, even looking back now at all the books that I read, all the time that I spent just learning about American culture and law and taxes, and man, it's tough, but you can do it. You know, I know you can. You've seen enough content, you've read enough posts, you've watched enough videos to realize there are other ways to succeed. You don't need to work 80 hours a week, a hard labor physical job to make money. And because you know that, you owe it to yourself to act on it. That's why I don't really look at being lazy as a flaw. I think it's smart if you want more return for your effort, for your hard work. You're not trying to avoid work. You're just trying to make sure that your work actually gets you somewhere, right? Most people feel stuck and unmotivated because deep down they know that they're digging with their hands when they could use a shovel. They're burning out with no progress. So my real first breakthrough didn't really come from making millions, right? It was a good feeling. It felt nice, but it came from making my first $200 online. And I still remember that moment. I was making YouTube videos. They were gaming videos, Call of Duty at the time. And then I got a $200 check from YouTube for the month after 3 months of posting or something. And I was like, okay, I made $200. If that's possible, would it be possible to make $1,000 a month in a few months? And that small paycheck, $200, changed everything for me, because from there, I just built. I kept making my videos better. I kept learning more about social media. I kept learning about how to make money online, how to save money from taxes. Like, I just learned as much as I could. You know, I either saved what I made or I reinvested it, any of that revenue, into making more. And then I paid my bills with my other jobs, which at the time I was an EMT. I was working overnight, overtime. I was working 50 to 60 hours a week minimum. And I was also a bouncer on the weekends. I was really hustling to make $600, maybe $700 a week. And the funny thing is that even just by building my personal brand and learning how to build a social media channel, like a YouTube channel, and make money online, I landed a job at Google. And I worked there for 3 years, making 6 figures a year. So the leverage that I built was so beneficial for me that it even offered me a great career if I wanted to pursue that. And I wish more people celebrated those early wins, you know, because replacing or adding to your income with a side hustle is a massive win. Making an extra $1,000 a month from something that you built, that's not small, that's life-changing. For me, it was $200. I was like, oh, I can almost pay for my car, which at the time was like $253. I remember it, $253. So I was like, damn, I can almost pay for my car. And that was a big moment for me. It's life-changing. I've had big wins, I've traveled, I've hit milestones, but you know, nothing compares to that first taste of freedom, of possibility. I just felt like the doors opened in front of me. My next big moment, the moment when I realized I didn't need to rely on anyone else to survive, to me was when I quit Google to work for myself. I took a big risk, it was scary, but I knew what I had built was special, and I knew that it was the right time, the right move for me. And just a side note here, because I think this is really important, I see so many people making this mistake all the time. I get so many messages from guys who tell me they're about to quit their jobs to become a content creator or to build their personal brands. Please don't. If you have a job that's paying your bills, quitting that to then start building your personal brand is the worst mistake that you can make. But Alex, isn't that what you did? No, I built my personal brand first. I built it as I worked a bunch of 9-to-5 jobs. The analogy I like to give is, you know, when Tarzan is swinging through the forest, you know, he's on the vines. Don't let go of one vine before you grip the next one. You know, you should know if the next vine is stable or not, because if you just let go, you might not find the other one, it might not work, and you might fall. It's a much bigger risk than checking the next vine first. Okay, this one's good, and then letting go. So do you even like posting content, right? It's one thing to post a couple of videos a week. It's another thing to, like, this is your job. You gotta hustle. You gotta post a video every single day. You gotta post stories. You gotta write scripts for YouTube videos, right? One thing is thinking about the side hustle every day. Another thing is working on that side hustle all day, every day. So my advice is try it first. Don't quit your day job to then try something new. It's too risky. And by the way, new businesses tend to take a while to start producing revenue. It took me hundreds of YouTube videos to get to a point where I could pay my rent with online revenue. I've been uploading content for over a decade. There's no get rich quick magic pill here. A lot of people are gonna offer you that online. It's just false. This is not true. It's a scam. But there absolutely is a way to get rich quicker. You can choose smarter moves, better business models, leverage. And now with TikTok, AI tools, I'm telling you, this is the most level playing field that we've ever had. You know, no college degree needed. I don't have a college degree, even though I went to school for criminal justice. I quit to become a YouTuber. Who would have thought? You know, no gatekeepers. You can find the information anywhere, everywhere. AI, TikTok, Instagram. It's just out there for the taking. So yeah, if you're ambitious, but you're lazy, that's not a weakness. That's your edge. You're gonna find ways to make it work, right? It means that you're wired for leverage. You want results, not busy work. Not too long ago, Gary Vee was a big spokesperson for hustle culture and waking up early and getting shit done. And you can see that he's changed his tone now. Why? Because that culture doesn't click anymore. People tried it and they burned out and they're like, wait a second, let's take a second here because I want to live my life. I don't want to be dumb about this. As far as I'm concerned, I only have one life. Depending on your religious beliefs. Let's enjoy it, right? Work smarter, not harder. You want the outcome, not the grind for the sake of grinding. That's not smart. But here's the thing, you still have to make a move. Sure, you don't have to grind yourself to death, but you still have to make a move. You still have to pick a direction. You still have to sacrifice, you know, a lot of mornings or nights, a lot of social gatherings or parties or whatever. You still have to build something. Just because the path is easier now doesn't mean it's automatic, right? You have to choose it. You have to go for it. You have to get in the right vehicle. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck. You'll be tired, frustrated, waking up early every day, working yourself to the ground and wondering why nothing is changing. Like I said, I've seen both sides. I've washed dishes in the back of a restaurant. I've done yard work for 10 hours a day for a few bucks. And I've closed 6-figure brand deals from my phone for shooting a video. That's not bragging, that's just perspective. The 10 hours that I spent landscaping and it made, you know, a few bucks, I don't even know how much it was, $12 an hour. I worked harder doing that than making that video that made me 6 figures. Way harder. And the difference is crazy financially. That's perspective. I know what it feels like, and I'll never forget where I started. Trust me, I remember. That's why I'm passionate about sharing this because, you know, not because I'm special. I'm not. I'm literally just a kid from Brazil who had to learn English when he got here 2 weeks before 9/11 and had a hard time adjusting. But I tried everything, man. I saw an opportunity. I took it. I could have stayed in landscaping. I could have stayed working as an EMT, which like, it's cool. I get to wear a uniform, make shit money, but hey, girls like it. You know, I could have worked at Google for the rest of my life, which would have been great. Would have been fine, but I knew I wanted more and I found a way to get it. And you can do it too. You just need to stop thinking that hard work alone will save you. It won't. If you want to succeed and you don't want to burn yourself to the ground, then pick the right vehicle. Stack leverage, use the tools, build something that grows even when you're sleeping. Don't romanticize grinding just because everyone else does, right? There's no reward for suffering. There's no badge of honor. Oh, congratulations, you only got 4 hours of sleep last night. Pick the smarter way. You know, pick the path that gives you peace, freedom, flexibility, because that's the real flex, not burnout. And also just something for you to think about. The sooner you start, the better. I think a lot of guys make this mistake of, hey, I'm gonna start it next week. I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about doing this, been thinking about doing that. It's not all or nothing. Like I said, don't quit your job and then go do something else. Just start. 30 minutes today, 30 minutes tomorrow. See how you feel. Keep going. It adds up, it stacks up. That's how you build leverage. That's how you find the right vehicle. And if you've made it this far into the video, that means something. It means that you're ready. It means that you don't want to stay the same. It means that you want to grow. So don't waste that. Take this motivation that you have right now that you're feeling and get to it, man. Don't watch this and go back to doing the same thing that hasn't been working. You don't have to suffer your way to success. There's always a smarter way. I'm no better than you. I just found the right path. I stayed consistent. I built leverage and I gave it a lot of time. And you can do it too. So what are you going to do differently now that you've watched this video? Let me know in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.